there are going to be days where it'll look like it's wonderful, where the opportunities are going to be bountiful, and as soon as you get in the marketplace, everything goes fuzzy. It becomes uncertain. Your model doesn't look as so one-sided as it did before you put the trade on. In those instances, as soon as you feel that, okay, and if you're new and you haven't been doing it for a long time, the first thing you should do is immediately cut the risk in half. If you can't do it because you're only doing one of the smallest lot sizes or contracts, then close the trade. It's not beneficial for you in the beginning, early stages, for you to wrestle through uncertainty and spending not only the capital that's in the account, whether it be demo or a combine or a funded account or funded with a funding account company or live funds. It's not worth doing that in the early stages, because that damage, where it's reasonable to expect that little tiny fish to come in there and take a chunk of your ass and you lose something. That's this business, folks. You're in the ocean now. When you're in here and you're trading, you're in here with other things that have teeth. And you're going to lose limbs, fingers, toes. It's going to happen. Okay? And you're going to have to still find a way to swim. Or you're eaten, or you're going to sink. And then when you sink, the bottom feeders will consume you. But you can't escape, something not biting you eventually. Having this mindset that you want everything to be one-sided on your trades. And as soon as they become potentially not so one-sided, the first rule of thought should be, okay, number one rule in trading is preserve capital. That means, okay, this trade is not so obvious to me right now. It looked really good. It wanted to go to this specific level, but now it hasn't done so. It hasn't performed that way. But it hasn't really done enough to make me think that it's entirely wrong. It's just I'm a little unsure about it now. When that happens, cut the trade in half. Or if you can't cut it in half, close it. And then observe it, study it. Don't walk away from it thinking, oh, whatever, or get mad about because it didn't deliver like you wanted to. Watch it. Still try to get the experience from it with no risk. If it moves in your favor, okay, great. You kept yourself from spending mental capital, which many times is much more important than the actual capital in your account, because that can easily be replaced with working a second job, putting money from your savings into it. If you have a business, taking something that you sell and applying it to your account. That part's easy. You know what's hard? Getting back the mental capital that you caused a deficit in bankruptcy, of completely not trusting your model anymore because of one event, which one event doesn't change or upset any model, in my opinion. I don't care if it's even retail stuff. One event, one losing trade, one transaction that didn't pan out doesn't undermine the efficacy of anything. But many times you're going to find out, and you probably are, if you agree to me being honest right now, you would think that this is what you're wrestling with right now. Whenever you have these short-term adversities, you think that everything's changing. The algorithm's changing. ICT's got too many students now. They're changing the algorithm. No, they're not. They're not going to do that, okay? Trust me, they're not going to do it. The markets will stop. They won't be available to us to trade before that would ever happen, okay? You're literally talking about the underlying mechanics of how prices book. They're not changing it. It's the way it is, okay? All right, so we have one candlestick down here that closed below it, and then we have this one here. I mentioned how it could draw down to that little tiny little inefficiency. It didn't touch it. I would have liked to have seen it hit that, actually, personally. But, it's Friday, right? It's Friday. All right, so it's about 9 minutes almost after 9 o'clock. I'm in overtime with y'all for free, like that. All right, so see how many times we've poked above here? Here, here, here. No bodies have been allowed to breach that high. Just the wicks. Now, in my mind, you see this here? Some of you might see that as the model 2022, where it's a shift in market structure here, going up into a fair value gap, sell short, and then wait for it to keep going down lower. I would not take this trade using that logic. Even if it does deliver and say it goes lower, I don't care about that, because there's a 10 o'clock high impact news driver looming. It's Friday. The idea that it could squeeze up there even more, and why would that be advantageous? Because longer term, the market has been going where? Down. The last 2 months or so, or month and a half, we've seen lower prices. So if we are in fact, and let's play devil's advocate for a moment, just for the sake of this discussion, let's just say I'm right just this time, okay? And we do go lower, longer term. Say in November, we're lower than we went to on Wednesday of this week here. If that's the case, and say, for the sake of discussion, that I'm right and it goes that lower price into November and we go lower wherever, it would be advantageous for the market to go above these highs here, because it would do what? Run buy stops. Why would that be advantageous? Because those buy stops could be used for what? Short entries, for folks that want to do what? Build in positions that eventually will be underwater for longs, but profitable for them if we do take out Wednesday's low. So I use that idea and thought process coupled with the fact that we have two high impact news drivers in the same session. Whenever we have that, there's like this two-stage delivery. One's used to spur on a move or continue something that, like we've seen since London. What is price done in London? Okay, 3 o'clock in here, we rallied, came back down in to an inefficiency. I'll go back up to a higher time frame, show you what that is in a moment for those that don't remember what this is. Then we rallied again in between 7 o'clock and 8:30. News driver comes out 8:30. What is it used for? To continue what has already been in play since London. Okay, that means supercharge it higher. Wonderful, great. But we still have what? We have that 10 o'clock news, and it's Friday. So there's a lot of maybe you can be right, but maybe you can be wrong. And I know that these are days that, because it's two market drivers, I might not have the second at 10 o'clock pegged. They could use 10 o'clock to send it through even higher because it's Friday, because they want to squeeze up into all the trail buy stops, because that's where liquidity would be for someone to buy it from them at a higher price. Smart money, if I'm right and we're going lower than Wednesday's low this week, if I'm accurate on that assessment, that belief, that opinion, and I'm not trying to make the case that I am right. I'm just submitting to the idea that what I do and how I'm reading price and how I use the economic calendar, and when there's two drivers in the same session, we're not talking about a high impact news event at 8:30 and then something at 2 o'clock. There's two of them in the same session, the morning session, the AM session. Because of that, my concern is that they used London to send it higher, which was in sympathy of what I outlined Thursday would be, which would be a retracement higher. 8:30, they send in more volatility and sends it higher. And now we have that looming 10 o'clock news. So I would not want to trade ahead of that because it can be utilized as I'm outlining here. I am completely content with being wrong. If I miss a move, I'm content because I'm trusting the logic and I'm not going to feel, oh, I missed out on that move. Where some of you might think that's occurring because maybe I've done something in the past where I said, I think this level's going to trade to, and it doesn't do it. Oh, ICT's FOMO right now. No, I'm not. I don't care. Because I know what I'm looking for and I know when I can potentially be wrong. And if I am wrong, it doesn't change anything. It just means that that was nothing for me to take money out of. I couldn't use that for my advantage. I couldn't use that for a means of harvesting any profit from the marketplace. And being right or wrong has zero to do with trading profitably. It has nothing to do with it. But in the beginning, you equate that that's what this is. Trading profitably is being right, when many times I've made money being wrong. And that's the skill set that you need to be working towards. Saving and keeping money in your account when you're wrong. How often have you thought about doing that? Think about that. How often are you thinking about preserving capital? Many times you're not. You're thinking about it when you're in a trade with a trade that you didn't put a stop loss on, wishing you would have. Then you're thinking about, man, I wish I would have preserved some capital and used a stop loss because I didn't want to see this happen. I thought it was never going to happen, and it's done run 40 handles against me. And it could probably keep going up and up and up. And in your mind, you think it's going to go up 500 more handles. The likelihood of that happening next to zero. But in your mind, because you're doing things wrong and you're thinking now toxically, you start inviting and entertaining these unrealistic, scary thoughts. And you wonder why you don't have any discipline, why you can't follow a model, because you're inviting the very things that is going to undo you as a trader. All those things that you're fearful of, they're easily managed. And some of the things that you think are likely to occur to you are probably never going to happen. But I promise you, if you don't have impeccable risk management, I promise you, if you don't use a stop loss, I promise you, if you over leverage, you're going to blow your account. Even with my material, even with the precision stuff that I teach, all these rules, you still run the risk of undoing yourself because of the character flaws that you'll bring into it. And you'll put more precedence on the things that matter the least and not concern yourself with the things that matter the most. Preserving capital. If you had your account throughout the year, okay, you could lose a lot of losing trades. But if you were in the game long enough to let the good trades that you would eventually been in to materialize, you can be profitable. But if you don't think the way I'm talking about here, if you don't think about preserving your mental capital first, so you have to be comfortable in the trade. You have to be content with what it is that you're doing. There's nothing better that you need to be worrying about. There's no other market that you need to be worrying about. There's no other time frame that you need to be worrying about. There's no other setup, no other model, no other ICT post, no other tweet that I'm going to be making, no other video, no other instructional thing. There was nothing missing. Oh, I should have watched this other video. I literally just retweeted some guy asking some other student, what was the most important things out of the 2023 mentorship? And I'll summarize what he's asking, or she, I don't know if it's a guy or girl. Give me a shortcut. I don't want to waste my time. Don't watch my stuff. If that's the mentality you have, don't watch any of my videos because you don't have it in you. Okay? You don't have it in you. That's a weak-minded individual. You want something real quick, have it your way mentorship, dollar menu mentorship. You're saying a drive-through. We're not McDonald's here. I'm not a clown teacher mentor. I'm somebody that's teaching some people how to really make real money. And there's a lot of rules and there's a lot of things you have to go through. And it's going to take time, more time than you probably want it to. And the people that ask the shortcut type questions, I mute them. Like I retweeted them, but he's muted now. I have no tolerance for that. I have zero tolerance for it. And they can talk shit about me, call all kinds of names and whatever. I don't care. These people don't want to learn. They want a magic trick that they can go out and perform and impress their family and friends and, and have overnight success. And trading's not like that. It's a lot of things that you have to weigh and factor in. And a lot of people are not equipped. They're not equipped to speculate in these markets, to manage risk. They can't even balance a checkbook, let alone go in here and try to balance a trade from beginning to end. Many of you probably don't even know what's in your bank account. You got to go and sign into your bank app to see how much money you got. That's scary. And if you think about it, that's scary. But you all want to have a profitable trading journey. You're not even financially responsible in your own little money. and you want to make a lot of money. All right, so we had one small run that didn't get down to a level I would have liked to see here. I would have liked to see it hit that small little inefficiency. Remember I was drawing it out here earlier? Right there, that small one. There's a volume imbalance right there. I didn't notice it until we just did that. So if we overshoot this, say it drops one more time, say it goes into here and overshoots it, this little tiny volume imbalance right there until we get down to the immediate rebalance there. That could happen. It could get a little whipsawy, but ultimately I want to see how we behave 9:30 into 10 when that news driver hits. I'm not staying here for that, by the way. You're like, oh yeah, ICT, he's going to be with it. I'm not. I'm looking at the time now. I want to try to escape here. I'll watch the opening bell. I'll give you 5 minutes, but I want to be in my own mind, not messing with anything. You're not going to get any dose later on. I just want to see how it behaves and not be talking about like I'm doing now because this is a little distracting for me. So if you were in this trade, okay, I'm saying trade, in quotes because I outlined this as maybe some of you interpreting that as the model 2022, where we take buy side here, shift in market structure here. Here's the inefficiency. It's above equilibrium. So it would be in premium. Trading into this area here, you might look at that as a short. And I said I would not be interested in taking that because of the 10 o'clock news driver, because it's Friday, because it's rolling against the underlying sentiment that we've been bearish. So it's reasonable to anticipate them to want to take price up, to buy stops. To run those buy stops, allowing smart money to build in positions selling short, and they can sell early. Okay. If you looked at the lesson I gave on the commodities portion of the core content, and for the life of me, I don't recall. Man, don't take my word for this one, okay? But I want to say month 10 core content, but I'm probably wrong. Okay, so I'm probably calling it the wrong month. But the one I talk about commodities, and I go over commitment of traders, and I teach how the smart money and those large long-term hedgers, they'll sell as the market's going up. They're selling into those rallies. Okay, think about what we're seeing in the indices right now. We've already dropped a lot. It's perfectly reasonable for, as I was outlining on Wednesday, for the market to go higher Thursday and then Friday. And we've seen that happen. Why would that be advantageous? Because if the market can go up higher to knock out people that are profitable right now that trail their stop loss lower, their buy stop gets them out at whatever profit or loss that books at the time their stops are executed. The other side of that execution is a short seller, in my mind, that wants to establish a short position for the longer term, a pattern. My harmonic wombat pattern says it should go up to this level or it should go down to that level, okay? Or you're looking at some kind of indicator that says that, price should do this or do that. I'm looking at price and thinking, okay, why would price want to go to that level? Let me ask you a question. If you would have took that short in this area here, would you feel comfortable with it right now? It still could work. I'm not going to argue and say that it can't still drop. But I'm saying right now, if you were in that trade, and I'm sure quite some of you are probably in that, and you're thinking, damn it, I should have listened to ICT. Who knows? I might be wrong. It might just drop down here and go below this lower here. It could happen. I could be wrong. I'm completely accepting the fact that I might be wrong. I'm inviting it. I'm allowing for it this morning. But I'm also telling you one side. I don't see it that way right now. I think that they're going to use that 10 o'clock to run even higher.